My damn.
Okay, let's do take two. Take two. Okay, stand by, everybody. Back to positions one. By the way, great crew. Great crew. Okay.
Hey, I can't believe I just did that. This is really both funny and embarrassing. But let me take it from the top, if you don't mind. Take two. You should have been giving me hand signals, man, like we were on set or something. Holy. You were like waiting for this to go. So let's do this one more time. We're gonna do another start. And oh man, now he's on the show, and I'm. All right. Well, welcome to Live Courageously, the podcast show. I'm your host, John Duffy, and this is now with audio. And this is the 32nd Live Courageous podcast show since I started the show a year and a half ago. Today, my guest is someone very special, and I'm going to be real tired reading this for the second time, but I'm going to lose my regular opening to jump right into the show so we can spend all of the hour minus what I just lost with him. My guest today is a great friend and a courageous human, Martin Guigui, who leads with love in all he does. Martin is an award-winning filmmaker, music director, producer, and composer. Guigui has directed, written, and produced feature films, music videos, composed music for film and television, worked on 130-plus productions, produced over 50 music albums, toured extensively, and music directs high-profile broadcast concert events, including the popular Guitar Legends and America Salutes You TV series. Guigui is a co-founder and president of Sunset Pictures and EVP of Pacific Records. He was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, the son of the renowned orchestra conductor Maestro Efren Guigui. Martin has a eclectic upbringing in New York City, Puerto Rico, and Vermont, a music prodigy playing violin at the age of 4. His concert debuted at age 12, now an accomplished pianist and keyboard player. As a filmmaker, and in the back, I'm loving this. We're getting all this behind the scenes work here. As a filmmaker, Guigui has worked with stars and icons of the entertainment industry, including Robin Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, Dennis Quaid, Richard Dreyfuss, and Charlie Sheen. Has directed 6 feature film plus 6 of the films and produced many, many more. As a music director and producer, Martin Guigui has shared the stage, recorded, and performed with music greats. And this is a very abbreviated list, including Christina Aguilar, Billy Gibbons, Travis Tritt, Brad Paisley, Peter Frampton, Daryl Hall, Stephen Stills, Lady Gaga, Kev Mo, Slash, Doobie Brothers, The Cars, Belinda Carlisle, Sammy Hagar, Kenny Loggins, Sheila E., Lyle Lovett, Smokey Robinson, Jose Feliciano, Nancy Wilson from Heart, Robbie Krieger from The Doors, Richard Sambora, Joan Osborne, Trace Atkins, Lee Greenwood, the Gatlin Brothers, NRBQ, Bo Diddley, Brett Michaels, Billy Ray Cyrus, Julio Iglesias Jr., Maxi Priest, and Don Fell, the Eagles, and many, many more. Y'all. Now that is some serious credits there, my friend. And Guigui has won numerous Best Director awards, Grammy-nominated Billboard Awards, ASCAP Awards, United Nations Awards, Caesar Awards, Golden Spirit Awards, Easterbrook Award, twice honored by the city of Los Angeles for artistic contributions to music education. And Martin produces and music directs broadcast shows for veteran causes, as well as for the Mr. Holland Opus Foundation, Endangered Species, and the Prevention of Child Abuse. Guigui has helped organize and music directed the iconic One American concert event hosted by the 5 living U.S. presidents, raising $45 million for hurricane relief in Houston. Martin is also a contributing author to the book Aftershock, which is the 50th anniversary of the book Future Shock. But wait, there's more. There's more, right, Martin? There's more. There's more. Guigui was a standout high school basketball player and still passionately enjoys the game, having played in the NBA Entertainment League with the likes of Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, Justin Timberlake, Snoop Dogg, Jamie Foxx, Sacha Baron Cohen, and Kevin Hart, not to mention playing basketball weekly for the last 10 years with myself and a great group of friends in the film industry. Wow. Greetings, my brother, Martin Guigui.
Okay, good night, everybody. See you later.
Hey,
I liked it better was when it was on mute. That was the
silent version. That was for silent film. That was for back in the day, because we started our careers back when silent film started, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's right. We were running around with an 8mm camera. Actually, that's what I did. You know, when I was about 13 years old, my bicycle was stolen, and my parents, like a few months later, gave me a check, and I was like, wow, what's this check for? And they said, well, that's the insurance from your bike being stolen. And I first thing I thought of was like, wow, we should insure everything, first of all. Secondly, that's pretty cool. And at the time, I had done a bunch of research because I was looking into wanting to have the ability to be able to film ideas and stories. And I didn't want to do it just on a video camera. I wanted to do it on film. And so I took the money and I bought a Super 8 sound camera, and I became like, the nuisance of the neighborhood, man. And, it was like I was filming everything. I still have some of that stuff. In fact, over the pandemic, I think a lot of people did this. We went through all our junk in our garages or attics or whatever you want to call it. And I found all this stuff, and it was in pretty good shape, meaning like it hadn't melted yet. And so I've transferred it to video. And when it came back to me, I realized nobody should see any of that. Except my kids. So they could see what not to do.
Right. Well, now here's the thing. That was a funny opening that we just pulled off. But how did, for people, how did we first meet, me and you?
By the way, if you really wanted to do this right, we should probably do the opening again, but with no image.
You're right. Maybe we'll do it at 3 versions, man. And then we'll do the director's cut. You get to cut it after from me.
Well, the director's cut is I'm interviewing you.
All right. Then.
But I'm reading my bio as if it was yours.
I like it, man. Too funny. So where did we meet? When was the first time we met?
Well, I remember the first time we met. It was in Venice, on Main Street in Venice, at a little sort of deli coffee shop. And I'm going to say either 2010 or somewhere in there, 2009, 2010 probably. And we were introduced by producer Ronnie Clemmer, because we both had a mutual friend in common. And he had written a script called Beneath the Darkness. And we had met because you were one of the producers, line producers, production manager. You were wearing several hats, and I think you were checking to see if I had any clue whatsoever about how to make a movie. Well, and of course, you realize that we both were clueless, and it worked out great.
And here's the picture of that first movie, Beneath the Darkness, that we did with Dennis Quaid, and we did that down in Smithville, Texas, and then we went on and we did this other one. We worked together, Paradise Cove. But I remember, yes, we were down there doing that movie, and talking about not having.
Frightening to see those posters, by the way.
What's that?
It's frightening to see those posters.
Well,
which is what those movies are supposed to do, scare you a little bit. But I do recommend, those are 2 good ones.
They are, and they scared us in the making of it. But besides having a great time making the movie with Martine, and that was my first time working with you, man, it was such a blast because what you did on the set and how you set the atmosphere was amazing. And then, of course, the other thing that we'll come back later and we'll flip back to later is in the middle of the shoot, talking about being crazy. First thing you asked me was to play basketball with you. And I'm like, hey, Martine, I'm line producing here. I got some work to do, man. And you're like, oh, come on, man. You nobody else can come play. So I had not played in about 5-6 years from blowing my Achilles. But of course, you talked me into it and we started playing. And of course, we've been playing now over 10 years later every week. So that was another great thing that you created for me that time. So we had a blast on that set. So,
I remember also, for anybody who doesn't know Ronnie Clemmer, or for anybody who does know Ronnie Clemmer, he did come out to try to play basketball with us. And he did something very interesting. He kind of did a somersault flip in the middle of a shot. I've never seen anybody do that to date. So that's still something that if you're out there and you're planning to create a creative dunker, you could do a somersault and a flip before dunking the ball. It would be, a little bit of an acrobatic thing. I've seen the guys that jump off the trampolines do that at the games during halftime. that's a little bit what Ronnie looked like when he came out. And we love you, Ronnie. If you're out there, we love you and we miss you.
Yes, we do.
And
Yes,
I
we
will
do.
say that the hoop game, and there's a whole other philosophy to what that game does for your metaphysics, for your physical, for your intellectual, for your emotional, for your spiritual. I mean, I sleep a lot better every time I play hoops. I come home that night, I sleep. I also crawl to the bathroom because I'm in the middle of the night because I'm trying to do my brain is telling my body to do things it shouldn't be doing anymore. But I will say that during production, that was such a great release, to be able to go down there and play hoops with you. Every production, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what your dream is, no matter what your goal is, no matter what your project is, finding a balance along the way that gives you a sense of inner peace so that you can operate at your own rhythm, at your own tempo. And that's certainly what one of the things that basketball does for me. Playing music does that for me as well. And laughter does that for me as well. And you and I found all those things that we had in common on the court, which we hadn't had a chance to do because we were in the middle of just trying to make a production work in Austin, Texas. Great crew, by the way. Great cast, great team. That was one of my favorite productions I've ever been a part of.
It was so fantastic. And just to give people an idea of who you are, because we had all that. We had basketball, we had humor, we had filmmaking, we had family, friends, we had it all. But then in the middle of this, just to give you an idea of who Martin Guigui is, we have a 20-day shoot. It's 20 days, which for those who may not know, that's not a lot of time. And we had a lot to accomplish. So I think in the first week, you came to me and you said, hey, I got this great idea. And of course, I started getting worried, right? And you go, hey, why don't we put on a concert for the police department's Toys for Tots program down here, because it was around coming into the holidays, and we'll raise some money for the Toys for Tots program. Dennis Quaid will bring his band in. I'll bring in my band. We'll get some local musicians, and we'll set up a concert. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? You're kidding me. And I said, so yeah, after the movie's over, right? You're no. We'll do it like a week from now. I'm like, while we're filming the movie, we're going to organize this big concert. I said, you're crazy, man. And you just started laughing and you were like, no, it's great. It'll be fantastic, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course we did it. And we raised like $10,000 for the Toys for Tots. You were fantastic. You brought in, Quaid's band, and it was, the town had such a blast. And it was your way of giving back to them, to thank them for allowing us to film there and to help so that the whole experience was just nothing but unusual, but in a fantastic way. So that was my first introduction to making a movie with you.
And thank you. And right back at you, because it was a team effort and you were open to making it happen. And Smithville and Bastrop were great to us when we made that film. And, the community, when you can get the community involved, when you're filming a production outside of LA and, you can get the community involved, it's very helpful. Right. And so to know that those kids that normally wouldn't get presents for the holidays, which is an odd thought, and to know that they were going to get presents. And of course, the police department was so helpful as well. And by the way, I don't know if you remember a little trivia, nostalgia, whatever you want to call it. Tony Aller, who was one of the stars of the film, performed that evening. And for those of you who know, he eventually went on to become MKTO, very popular pop group, music duo. And, little did we know then, I remember he got up on stage and he was like, hey, can I sing a song? Can I sing a song? And of course, and he gets up there and he sounded great. And sure enough, a few years later, big music star, big pop star. He's a super talented guy. Big shout out to Tony Aller out there, man.
Yeah. And just another example. I mean, we could probably spend an hour just on that experience alone, but it was during Halloween. So we took Tony Aller and some of the young cast and we set up this thing at this closed down school, and we put people in there and they hid in the school, and we went in there and we told them that there was ghosts in the school. So we brought these young actors in and we scared the living daylights out of them. Like, people popped out from behind doors. They freaked out, and Tony and that was the kind of experience we had. We just had such a blast with everybody that it was, everybody wanted to do it again, man. So,
well, creating cinema creating productions, content, whether it's television, cinema, or a music production or a tour. Life in general, if you want to talk about metaphorically speaking, is all about and I've said this before, you and I, this is kind of our mantra. It's the right people at the right place at the right time, or else life's too short, right? And it's about sharing similar values, DNA. It's about the collaborative, the connective tissue of knowing that it does take a village, it does take a team to make cool things happen. No matter what you jump into, no matter what you're planning, whatever your dream is, whatever you're manifesting, no matter what industry you're in, the idea is to have a memorable, positive experience, that kind of a journey. Ultimately, our legacy, our individual legacy, everybody on the planet, our individual and collective legacy is based on how we are going to be remembered. And how we're going to be remembered ultimately is about how we impact others. And you and I have always had that similar mantra, that it's all about positivity, building bridges, facilitating. And when you see somebody else shine, I don't know, that's just the world I come from. I get off on that. And so it makes it easier, right? It makes the journey palatable and enjoyable when you're enjoying it. I jump out of bed to do all the things that I do, and you know this, John. Whether it's to make music or the thing that I love the most, which is to be a dad, or to make movies, whatever it is, I jump out of bed to do it every day. That was instilled in me as a kid. My dad was always a give back guy. I became very aware of living courageously at a very young age. My dad and my mom both were immigrants. I was born in Argentina. My parents came here escaping fascism from Argentina. And I grew up in New York City, which was a great melting pot. I don't have to tell you, Bronx boy, right? I mean, it's just like we get along. Everybody gets along, no matter what. You just figure it out. You wear it on your sleeve. What you see is what you get. And that's the upbringing I lived at a very early age. So it's always about nurturing what your dream or what your idea or your thought is, and feed it every day. Every day should feel like a lifetime, like you've contributed in one way or another emotionally to either somebody else's life in a positive way or to your own life. And learning to like what you do, love what you do, like yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself, and make it happen. And that takes a laser. I'm going to use this word, a laser focus. It's a laser focus, and it's nurturing your whatever your goals, short-term or long-term goals are. And also discovery, learning and discovering every day. That is so important, man. I remind myself that every day, how important it is to see something through new eyes.
Well, you definitely do that. I want to jump into some of the films, and particularly a film that you just had released in the theater. We're going to play the trailer from it. This is just some of the films that you've done since, some of the ones we did together. So The Bronx Bull, 9/11, and now Sweetwater. And Sweetwater has an amazing story because it was released in the theaters just recently. I'm about to play the trailer from Sweetwater. But that's something, and we want to talk about that. That's something you have championed of all the other movies for over 26 plus years from when you started this in New York. So rather than talk about it, let me play the trailer for people to watch, and then we'll come back and have a conversation about it.
Nathaniel Clifton, I always know you was born with a higher purpose.
Joe Lapchick.
Matt Clifton. Some call me Sweetwater.
I coach a team called the New York Knickerbockers.
Ain't no Negroes playing your league.
It's not gonna be like that forever.
The NBA champs got their asses kicked by an all-Negro team.
It's like a circus, though. It's Ringling Bros.
Sweetwater knows this game better than anyone. I will fight for this. I want to fight with you.
Sweetwater, that was your last game wearing a Trotter uniform. Your next game will be in a Knick jersey.
You know you can't play him.
The guy is
The future of the NBA. Change is happening, but I don't know that my city can take it.
This ain't about the color of my skin.
You need to move away from my lily white pumps.
It's about being true to the game of basketball.
It's unnecessary to have all this razzle-dazzle on our courts, and that's what the Negro players will do.
But every time we step on this court, it means something.
You ready to change the game?
Oh, I was born ready.
Wow. That is if you can see that anywhere you can see it, please go see that movie. That's, but Martine, that just speaks to you. You got the story 26 years ago, and you've been, going through so many things throughout that time to make that a reality. So congratulations, brother. It was an excellent film. I had the honor to be able to watch it at Warner Brothers, where you had the screen in there. And it was such a great thing to see you share what your dream, and the fact that you brought that dream to fruition and told a great and true story. So congratulations, man. And speak on it for us.
Thanks, John. You lived it too, because you heard me tell, I think that first time we met, I had mentioned something about that to you, about this story, because I always identified with it for so many reasons. I've always been attracted to stories that need to be told. There's a story of something I didn't know about, or whether it's an original story or a unique story. And this spoke to my heart about, I'm all about creativity and imagination. I love that imagination is more valuable than knowledge, as Einstein once said. And I've identified with several things in this story when I bumped into it, and felt that I was either writing a book or maybe making a documentary. I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew I wanted to learn about it, what happened back then. Not only who was the first African-American to play in the NBA, but the genesis of the game that I've always loved so much. And it's applicable to every aspect of my life. And it plays into, I think a lot of people identify with this, the idea of trying something new, being creative, using your imagination and applying it to what you do and love. And in this case, it's applicable to the game of basketball. That could be applied to everything, business, whether you're cooking something and you're trying something new that nobody's ever done before. It's about innovation. It's about change. It's about evolution and moving the ball forward as a species, as a culture, as a global culture. And I grew up loving blues. And for me, that's the foundation of me as a creator. The format of the blues, without getting into it too much, where it's a question and answer. And when you get the answer, it makes you feel better. And that's what playing the blues does. But it's also the foundation. It's the fiber optics of all music is based on the structure of the blues, which really comes from the church, from Handel and Bach, who really started that structure, which is a verse, chorus, the structure musically, the question and answer of a musical piece. And I saw that in this story. I felt it, that there were three players, Earl Lloyd, Chuck Cooper, and Sweetwater Clifton, and they were all firsts, right? And all first Black players in the NBA. And I wanted to know how that happened. I was just curious. And then when I saw that Clifton was tied to the Trotters and to a different style of play, the style of play that I grew up loving, man, I used to go down to West Fourth or down to Riverside Park and out to Rucker and watch players try stuff on the court. I think everybody gets a kick out of that. Wow, did you see that move? I grew up loving creativity in the game. My dad, when I was a kid, he took me to the Garden, and I saw Earl the Pearl Monroe and Walt Clyde Frazier play, as a kid, watching that style of play. And when that connective tissue came up in the Sweetwater Clifton story, I knew that this was a story I was married to, that this was a true purpose in my life, to share this story with the world. It took time, because there was not a lot of information about this story. And that's why the 27 plus 28 years that it took to bring the movie. And also, listen, we all know this. You're going to hear no. That should only make you feel stronger. Never get discouraged when you hear no. It just means that it's just not meant to be with that particular group or person or whatever it is you're going to do. Hey, it's like, when, back in the day when I was single and I asked a girl on a date and she said no, it was like, okay, well, not meant to be. Instinct. Right. You have to, the truth is really important too. And I knew this project, there was always a truth to it in my world, in my life. I'm always the guy on the court who's running around, throwing the ball in the wrong direction or over my back or this or that or be.
Whatever. I got testimony on that one. Yes, indeed.
And so I fell in love with that aspect of it. I also fell in love with the aspect of the cultural evolution, story of a man whose story was never told, who needed to be told. And I really identified with Nat Clifton. The more I learned about him, the more I felt like we would have been friends. I really identified with his journey and his family's journey. And then I felt a responsibility that this story needed to be told, not only to make not only for historical accuracy in present day, but also for future generations.
Well, you by sticking with it, you did a great thing because you introduced people, and also we learned things in the movie, and I'm not going to reveal any of them because you just got to go watch it wherever you can on streaming, or if you can, it's still in the theaters. But there's things that even for fans of basketball probably didn't know, and you brought some history to the thing that just kind of gives us that insight to what it was like back in 1950, what it was like with the Harlem Globetrotters, their backstory and all these guys' backstory, and then what do they do after they finish their career, and you kind of take us on that journey that takes us back into that past, and you come away from the movie inspired and basically feeling that never give up, go for your dreams, because he did, and your movie does, and you did, and taken 26 years. So we all come out of that feeling so much better. So once again, congrats on it. Everybody got to go watch it, rent it, do whatever you can. You must see it. So I want to just kind of,
thanks, man. And I want to just mention, sorry to interrupt. Thank you for that. And I want to mention that it's really about paying homage to the pioneers and people who came before us, who paved the road for change. It's really important. I mean, that's what we do in every aspect of life. It doesn't matter what faith, background you're from. We're always honoring those who came before us. And that's really important in order to keep evolving, in order to be able to take, instead of one step back and two forward, always take steps forward. The only way to do that is to honor those who came before us, that taught us certain values and so on. You don't mind if I take a quick sip of my veggie shake, do you?
Not at all.
Because I don't eat vegetables. And so the only way that I can consume vegetables, John, is through what I call a veggie shake.
Wait, you're actually drinking a veggie shake now?
Yeah, and it's the only way I can consume vegetables, because vegetables just the texture doesn't feel right in my mouth.
I'm even shocked you're doing that, man. I mean, we went out for so many dinners, and it's always a funny running thing because Martine's like, when he orders, he tells you all the things not to put on the hamburger or the steak or whatever, right? And we always have a goof, and of course we always goof on about the vegetables, because the last thing that's going to end up on his plate is a vegetable. There's no way that was ever going to happen. So, oh man, so you've moved to veggie shakes. Good for you, man.
Veggie shake, because it's what I call my hidden vegetable shake.
You're making progress here, man. This is good. I don't know what 26 years from now, you might actually eat your first vegetable. I don't know. It may be possible.
It's right? Never going to, no, that's it. I can tell you some things. That's one thing. That's probably the only thing that's never in my life. I'm a fruit guy. I'm all about this. The proof that there is a power greater than our own is the taste of fruit.
So I'm going to pivot. One thing I just want to say, the screening you had, I'm going to throw some pictures up since he's taking us in that direction, but we're going to talk about music. Here's a picture of, if you think this guy's serious, this is exactly how serious he gets on the movie set, in the music, and on the basketball court. That's his most serious face, I think. And there's another one of his being serious. And once again. You know, obviously a very depressed personality type right here. So anyway, you know, that just gives you a little idea of who Martine is. But you know, a big part of, you know, even on Sweetwater and on your movies, you're also doing the music for the movies as well. And obviously your music career, you know, I went through all the people you played with, which is pretty amazing. So I'm going to put up a video right now, and then we'll talk some more about the music stuff. So let me throw up a quick a video of yours. Pretty cool, man. And that's just one. I probably will play a couple more of your thing as well. But you know, the music has obviously been a major part of your life in every way. And I've been honored, but you know, that you've invited me to a couple of your concerts besides the one in Smithville that you put on in the middle of filming. But everything else, I've gone to a lot of them, and I've just enjoyed everything you do and how the atmosphere you create and your family. And we'll talk later about, I mean, you have such a talented family, and they're all involved in everything from the music to the film to basketball. And, you know, and that's, you know, a big credit to who you are as both a, you know, as a husband and a father as well. So much credit to you, man. But music is a big part of your life, and that kind of drives, besides basketball, you know, drives your life. So tell us a little bit about the music stuff and, you know, some of the highlights, you know, of what you do with that. And like what we just saw with Billy Gibbons, you know, you did that down at the Grand Opry, but you also took a trip with him to Cuba, and you performed there. So, you know, my show is called Live Courageously. This guy has lived courageously in every field you can imagine. So, you know, whether it's music, film, travel, etc. So you definitely reflect the attitude of being a courageous human being, man. So
thank you, man. But I got to tell you, there's a very fine line between living courageously and just being plain old stupid. And so I got to point that out when it comes to jumping on a plane with Billy Gibbons and going to Cuba. Listen, I don't highly recommend that to anybody, but it worked for me. But just in general, you know, there's a story there to tell.
But it's a backstory about we might still be doing this call from you in Cuba a few years later.
Chico, no, come Chico. You know, I will say that it was amazing to be in Cuba. The people there are extraordinary. Their spirit is beautiful, and I hope that someday we're able to transform their political system so that we can enjoy and they can benefit more from connecting and interacting with the rest of the world.
100%.
I will tell you, I love that clip you just played. It's one of my favorites because I love playing with Billy Gibbons. That's obvious, I'm sure, but there are a few people that are close to me in my musical family where like we are also close to each other in our filmmaking and just brotherhood and basketball family. And I saw some faces on there. So big shout out to Richie LaBamba Rosenberg and Joe Sublett and Mark Pender and Mike Merritt, who are in that band that I love so much, and Phil Lepresti and all the whole gang, and there's all the usual suspects that come out and play at the Guitar Legends. America salutes you, and just that make music with us in general. And Jimmy Vaughn, man, he's one of my favorites to play with. He's just one of those purists. I love purists, you know, and people that stay sort of grounded in the foundation and the roots of great Americana music. Not unlike, I love playing with Warren Haynes, and there's a short list of just people that, Gary Clark Jr. He was in Sweetwater, and he just participated on the Sweetwater soundtrack, and it was just such a pleasure revisiting American roots with some of these amazing musicians. I always learn something every time I get an opportunity and the privilege of playing or being in the presence of those individuals. But anyway, music does a lot of interesting things, as we all know. It's frequencies that impact us in so many ways that we can never imagine. There are things that frequencies can do that obviously come from a place of creation. And I'm speaking both theologically, spiritually, and scientifically. There's, in cinema, without music is like a plane without fuel, potentially, right? I mean, here we are speaking, right? And if I were to, I'm sure my son Noah, who's a musician himself, won't mind if I grab his guitar. There's his guitar. Yes, Noah Guigui. So if while I'm speaking to you, and here we are having this conversation, I start doing this. Hey, John, how you doing, man? It changes immediately the feeling, and it gives us this sense of, again, I call it the rhythm of the planet. It gives you a tempo. It locks you in to being true to yourself. Music has that immediate, instant impact on our metabolism, both intellectually, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I'm going to show you a couple pictures that my kids found this morning. We were backing up the drive. So this is a picture of me before playing music.
I think I may have seen that picture.
Yeah, and then this is after playing music. Before music. Whoops, it's done. It's not going to let me do anything again. Okay, there you go.
So, I think that you could probably use those two pictures before basketball and after basketball too.
Man. Right on. Before love and after love. Absolutely. And also before a shower and a shave, and after a shower and a shave.
There you go, man.
And so to answer your question in terms of the music and how it fits into my world as a filmmaker, I rarely get in the way of that. Filmmaking, cinema is a collective, creative journey, and I love having the objectivity of a composer walking in. And on this particular film on Sweetwater, for some reason, there were a lot of melodies and themes and ideas coming through my mind, and I had lived it for so long that it was already, a part of the process without me even. It was very, it was like a natural, very organic experience. My hat's off to any composer, though, man. That is a gig and a half, and I learned a lot collaborating with the great Jeff Cardoni and the great Gordon Goodwin on Sweetwater, and I look forward to doing that again. There's something really special about applying music, because you're filming a scene and it has a certain tempo, a certain vibe to it, and that has to be matched in the editing room. It has to be matched in the music. It has to be matched in the sound. Right? There's a congruity. Again, I'll say it, not just in cinema or filmmaking or music making. That applies to life in general. Right? Everybody sort of moving in the same direction at the same place at the same time. We all want the same thing. And now I'm getting too philosophical about, the concept of global harmony, but that's really what it is, man. We all want the same thing, right? It's just, how can we get there together?
Yeah. Well, in Sweetwater, one of the things that I really enjoyed the most, and there was so many, but is the music scenes, because, you have a scene in one club where Sweetwater goes in and he's at goes to this club that he's kind of not allowed to come in, but he gets in, and then they go up to Harlem, and the music in both places, kind of really colors the movie, and that music was just great, and it was just, a great moment. So yeah, I the use of music and the way you used the music in that particular movie as well was really powerful, and just took you there, took you into the past, took you to that feeling, that vibe, being in that club, and seeing everybody happy, enjoying the music. I mean, so you did a great job with that as well inside of Sweetwater, man.
Thanks, man. Well, there was something about that era, 1949 to 50, just post swing, where there was the birth of bebop, and also it was early R&B, and rock and roll was being birthed at the same time. It was a Renaissance period. It was a Renaissance moment in general. And so because it was a birth of change with Sweetwater and Earl Lloyd and Chuck Cooper walking onto the court for the first time, breaking the color barrier in the NBA, it lends itself perfectly in a really organic way to have those textures in the film. And I'm listen, man, I'm blessed that I got an opportunity to work with such great people around me, and that people we all trusted each other. And it was without a doubt a magical team effort. I can't explain it otherwise. And we all not to stay on Sweetwater, but we all felt that we were at the right place at the right time. We all felt a sense of a calling on that project, which blew my mind. Everybody took on that sense of pride and dedication to it. It was an amazing experience, and I'm glad that people are enjoying the film. I hope that it continues to reach hearts and souls out there, and that it continues to impact people in a positive way.
100%. I'm going to play a short clip of the Guitar Legends, that you were involved in, and that's just something very cool too. But once again, it's the people you get to play with. You attract that vibe, you attract that energy, because it's the energy you give out. So it's just having seen you live at these different events, or some of these events on the aircraft carrier. You did one event down there, and I've seen some, and it's just and then watching your son Noah play with them, and it's just it's just an amazing experience to watch. So I'm going to play this real quick, and then we'll come right back.
Next Saturday, Access TV Concerts presents America Salutes You Guitar Legends 3. Billy Gibbons and an all-star lineup of guitar giants unite to raise awareness for the mental health of veterans and first responders. Shot live at the Wonderfront Music Festival. It's an incredible concert for a noble cause. America Salutes You Guitar Legends 3 premieres next Saturday, 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Access TV.
And you've done many of these, and all of them to give back and raise money for first responders, for military vets, and and also obviously the hurricane relief. So a big part of you using your musical talent, your connections, your relationships with all these artists to work behind the scenes to be able to create these events and make a difference is another part of who you are that I think is so valuable for people to kind of model and understand. That's the way to live life, and you definitely do it, man.
So do you, man. I appreciate those words. I learned it early on from my dad and my mom. They instilled it in me, as I'd mentioned before. My dad was always doing educational concerts and would bring me along, and they were typically to enhance communities that didn't have either music programs in their schools or that didn't have music education or instruments. We used to go around to people's garage sales and whatnot and pick up old instruments, fix them up, and give them away. And I've had I will say there's something about performing and or creating when you're an artist, and while you are creating, knowing that that's not just entertaining folks, but also impacting them into the future, potentially helping, saving lives, etc., takes on a different meaning. And those shows that we started with America Salutes You, Bob Oken, who's a great producer, great friend, that's his initiative, and the Guitar Legend shows with Evan Heyman and I, who we had started building that as well. The marriage between those two brands was perfect. It was so much fun. Such a great time, and everybody comes out for the right reasons. Like you said, we've got a couple more, and we do at least one or two of those a year. Really good time. Always enjoyable. And I always look forward to that crew and working with those guys. It's a blast. And now we've also started working in the mental wellness space, helping folks in the mental wellness space, as well as in the music education space with that concert. So it'll also impact individuals, in a charitable way in those spaces. People who are having a hard time. It might be a homeless group that we help. It may be a group of individuals who, for some reason, have lost their way in life. And it's always, again, for me, it's always about bringing people together for the right reasons and to move forward in a positive way. And so that show has been doing that, the America Salutes You show. And I'm always grateful, man, because you never know, as a creator, you never know, is this going to work? You're just going, again, John, we're just going by instinct. I mean, when you say, hey, I'm going to go and do this, you're jumping off of a cliff. Living courageously means you jump off of a cliff. And I've always said, you jump off of a cliff, but you know deep down inside that this is part of your truth, and you're always going to grow wings.
That's right.
You're always going to have a safe landing.
Well, I couldn't agree. That was a quote, kind of that quote that I had when I left New York and came to California with $100 in my pocket. It was, jump off the cliff and, hopefully I'm going to fly before I hit the ground. And I did. And, that's how you live life. You take those risks without being crazy, like you said earlier. But, it's there's a group too I have to connect you with. It's called Give an Hour that does mental health stuff for veterans. It's a great nonprofit. It might kind of feed into what you're doing with the mental health space as well going forward. So I'll make that connection for you. Let me just play a real quick thing since you just kind of went into it about artist support. But you have a little thing called Find Your Groove.
Oh,
and some of the
great.
that you do. Let me play that real quick. I think it's a good time to do that.
I love this one.
Cutting funding is not just about cutting music programs. What you're doing is you're cutting an avenue, a voice for these kids.
It's so hard to conceive coming out of school as a whole person without having had the arts.
One of the most fun I ever had in school was the day we got up in front of the auditorium.
Music is within every single last person in some type of form.
Music connects us all because the arts don't say no to you.
In this family, our philosophy is you got to try every instrument until you find your groove.
And that's what keeps you grooving.
Looking back, I can see that the world around me was a war zone. In the midst of all of this, I was fortunate to be introduced to the flute.
The power of music is so astounding. We take things for granted. And then when it's gone, we see problems.
The soundtrack of my life has been a companion.
Music is one of the most important things that gets us through life.
There's a science to harmonics, and it translates into society because I want to live in harmony.
Everybody loves music. I don't really trust anybody that doesn't,
Cool.
All right. I think that's a powerful a note, man, from you, right? That's just one more thing where, finding your groove.
Oh yeah. Music is magical, and it saves lives. It gives us reason. It's the algorithm. It's the code to life. I really believe that. I have this experimental stuff that I'm doing with a couple of different groups, and in my amateur physics world that I play in, and it's coming together. It's really interesting. Soon it will be unveiled, and it's already some information out there. If you just Google frequency treatment, vibrational treatments, and it's fascinating how frequencies can actually impact in a positive way the treatment and recovery of everything from Alzheimer's to leukemia and cancer. And it's applicable to so many different scenarios. It's wild. It's a wild science. I'm a believer in it. I do believe that.
It is. I mean, I saw a video about a group that's doing that's working with Alzheimer's and dementia patients, and they go into this nursing home, and you see these patients in wheelchairs, and they're down, leaning down, depressed and everything. And then they put on headphones with the music of their youth. And all of a sudden you see these old people transform. And now they're raising up and they're singing, and they're like, it takes them back, and their brain goes in a different path than where the brain is at that Alzheimer dementia path. It is such a powerful thing, and it's not used enough. It's not used in the ways it could be. So yeah, I can't wait to hear more about what you're doing with that, because it is a powerful force in healing and in health and mental health. So yeah, man, it sounds great. Sounds great.
Right on. Love it, man. Fantastic.
Well, we're kind of, I knew it when I started the show, I needed like 3 to 4 hours to get, and so I'm kind of jamming through it. And then of course, the fact that I had to do a silent opening just kind of made it even more fun. Right. But I just kind of want to get to two more pieces really with you. And one is, of course, is the other thing that you're into, which of course is Sweetwater, which is basketball. So here's a bunch of pictures with us and Noah, your son, and on the basketball court that we've been doing for over 10 years together. And then this is a picture from you with Sweetwater, and of course, Noah with his basketball. And this is something that we do every week for over 10 plus years. But it's your passion, and it's always, you come away from these games and you're just energized, man. And I won't say what film, but we actually scheduled a film once so that our day off was Wednesday so we could play basketball. But that just shows how fanatic you and me are when it comes
the sacred schedule.
That's right, the sacred schedule. But Noah is, I've been playing basketball. If you look at that picture, since I don't know how old he was in that picture right there, but I mean, and he's just gotten better and better, so now, he's scoring 15, 20 points a game. He doesn't miss anything. But something new has happened, which I think you might have planned. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if it's true. See, Noah used to play. I always play on Martine's team, which is great for all these years. But Noah used to play on our team, and now he's starting to play on the other team, and the other team's winning. So I think this is a kind of a Guigui conspiracy where this way, no matter who wins the game, the Guiguis win. Noah wins or Martine wins. Am I wrong?
Well, I've never thought of it that way, but now that you've pointed it out, maybe we'll just leave that alone. That's perfect. Yeah, why not? Although I do think we should.
But I want him back.
I think we may need to do some negotiating during the off season for off-season trade.
I think we got to trade him back because I'm just not liking losing to your son, man. It's just it's just a little too painful for me. But
oh my goodness, that's funny, man. I never thought of that. Wow, see, that's the CIA. That's the CIA guy in you. That was pretty good.
That was a little conspiracy theory, right? But we played during COVID together. You came down with him, and we played over in Santa Monica, and we played. We've played nonstop, man, and I've seen him grow, and his love and his passion, and just the love you put into him. And the other part of that, of course, is you're all about friends and family, and this is just a picture of what we call the four mooks. James, you and me. So that's, we always have a great time when we get a chance to get together. And then the big part, of course, is your family, man. Dahlia, who is, once again, as talented as anybody can be, actress, producer, mother, you name it. And then, of course, your talented kids, all of them. So, you got that whole package, man. It's a blessing. I think, you're blessed by a lot, and you give a lot back because you are blessed by a lot.
Oh, thank you, John. That was so heartwarming. My goodness, to see those photos, I didn't expect that. That's awesome. Wow. Feels like it's a combination of either my birthday or, just a celebration of life with you. Is just such a cool thing. This is so great.
And then, of course, we got, the Sweetwater basketball right here.
But I think more importantly, I think it's there's the classic ball.
This is the one that I think I played 10 years with this basketball.
What you need to do with that ball is you need to bring it to next Wednesday night and have everybody sign it.
Hey, that's a beautiful idea. I love it.
Yeah. And more importantly, don't forget, this is before and that's after.
All right. Well, we'll have to do, you'll have to do a version on the court with you too. We'll do it before and after, man. That would be such a blast. So going forward for you, man, what obviously you got more music things coming up. You got more movies coming up, and you just don't stop going, which is the way to live life, is, to take advantage of every bit of energy you got, man. Or like we like to say, I think, is leave it all on the court, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. There's always something new. I'm always open to great stories, to telling great stories, and to making music and laughing. And I'm going to look this up really quick because it's something worth sharing with everybody. I'm honored and proud to be able to say that Quincy Jones is a friend and has always been very inspiring to me. And we were working on a Henry Mancini's 100th birthday anniversary, recording and documenting some of the most popular pieces that Henry Mancini did. It's a Greg Field project. In any event, one of the things that Quincy said to me, he looked at me and he said, "Man, I see you and I think of this." And he said, "Love, laugh, live, and give." And I said, "Wow, man, I got to write that down because I'm never going to remember that." And it's just something about love, laugh, live, and give. It sounds like a song, maybe it sounds like something, but it's certainly a mantra that makes sense because it's simple, it's from the heart and soul, and it's also it's purpose, and that's just so important, right? To always know that that is what we're doing here. That is why we are here. There is a purpose, a greater purpose than our own. And without getting, I'm not theological or spiritual about it, but it's something that keeps us all grounded, and it allows us, as your show says, to live courageously.
Well, I think that's a great way. It sums up you, and it's a great way to live life. And I think it's a great way for the audience to love, to live, to laugh, and to give. I think that's just a powerful. It's 4 words, but they mean so much. And if you apply them in your life, you're gonna have a great life. Those are powerful, man. So it's
that and veggie shakes.
And veggie shakes, and keep the green stuff off his plate. You see that before picture? That's what happened when somebody put some green things on his plate. Oh my gosh. Oh, too much fun, man. Too much fun. Well, brother, anything you would like to leave the audience with? It's been a blast. This has been too much fun, man. I can't wait to get on the court. I'm gonna bring my basketball for you to sign. We're gonna do some behind the scenes stuff with you, and we're gonna get Noah traded to our team, so we can start winning again. Because come on.
I think that's a perfect plan. It's a great way to end the show. I'm so grateful, man, that you had me on. I'm a big fan of everything that you do, and you inspire so many people, John. And keep doing what you do and who you are. I love you. And I think the best way to end the show would be the way that we started the show, which is.
Love you back, brother. Thank you so much. See, I was just rehearsing that line. I was rehearsing my lines. I didn't know the camera was on. Yeah, sure.
On this show, I think we go with take 2.
Take 2. Indeed. I love it. Take 2.
Circle that.
Have a good one, man. Thank you, Bess, and I'll see you Wednesday on the basketball court. Much love, man.
Love to you and love to everybody.
All right. Be good, man. Well, that was an interesting show. I've never done that before, to spend the whole time doing the opening on mute. So, it definitely something for me to laugh about myself in the future. But if you do watch the show, unless you want to observe me doing a mute intro of Martin Guigui, you might want to skip ahead a little bit until we take 2 and he comes on screen. So I'll give some notes on that. And once again, thank you, everybody, for watching. If you watched it live, hopefully you watch it later. And I'll make a note about the silent introduction. But, I think what Martin left us with, take 2, to live, to laugh, to love, and to give, I think is a good way to sum it up. Until I see you next Sunday, I'm going to have 2 p.m. I have a military veteran buddy, Andre Andrews Jr., who is the founder nonprofit of Warriors Road, which takes military veterans and first responders and does equine therapy for them in Los Angeles. So watch that show next Sunday at 2 p.m. and subscribe. Whatever you do, let's see if I can get that real quick in so you can get that message. Subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Live Courageously on YouTube, so you can get notifications for the show every Sunday at 2 p.m. Until I see you again, love, laugh, live, and give, and live courageously. Have a great day.